Akira Tendo, a young and energetic man in Tokyo, Japan with a successful college resume, just got a new job at a company. He goes to work full of excitement, and on his first day, he tries to make an impression at the company on his appearance in front of the company's employees by making a speech about how he's excited to be working for the company. The work environment seems to be welcoming and full of energy, and after seeing all of this, Akira's full of excitement, and he even gets invited to dinner with all the employees where he's introduced to all of the team members and his boss Gonzo Kuzuki. His first day seems to be going well when all of a sudden he starts to realize that things are not so bright and shiny as they seem at his workplace. On the same day that he got invited to dinner, his boss tells him to get back to work and he pulls a back-to-back all-nighter. The tired and exhausted Akira goes to his home thinking that this was just a temporary situation, but as more days pass, things start to get worse. We see that he's overworked and he barely gets home, even to the point where he starts to fall asleep on the job. His boss even begins to be mean to him, and he also sees that he has bad manners and treats all his employees with disrespect. After a long day at work, Akira meets his best friend Kenichiro, his college football teammate and best friend for drink. Akira starts to tell Kenichiro about his workplace and his current situation, but Kenichiro was on his phone and he seemed to not really care. Akira tells him that this is a serious issue, but the calm and relaxed Kenichiro tells him that it's better to quit and live his life the way he wants to. Akira, who thinks that Kenichiro is not taking him seriously, tells him that he has it easy and that he doesn't work but only goes after girls for money.
Wait, hold on. Did you subscribe to our channel? Come on guys, you're here, you're watching the video. Help us out by hitting the subscribe button, as it really helps out me and my team to make more videos for you guys. And now, let's get back to the recap.
On the next day, Akira was back to his miserable life at the company, where he speaks to female employee Otori, whom he has laid his eyes on since he got hired. She consoles him and gives him a juice to drink and goes back to her work. The toxic work environment was a new normal for Akira, and the screaming from his boss, the long hours and sleepless nights are all just now very mundane for him, and they continue all year round. One fateful day, a drained and exhausted Akira had to drag himself to work and starts going down the stairs where he stops to greet his neighbor. But instead, he's met by a flesh-eating zombie who did actually used to be his neighbor. Horrified by what he saw, Akira starts to scream and runs for his life as the zombie started to pursue him. And to make matters worse, more zombies join the chase. He barely escapes after climbing over a fence of a gate on a building, and on that building, he sees that the whole city has been taken over by zombies. He suddenly realizes that he doesn't have to go to work, which causes him to burst into a new level of ecstasy that he'd never felt before. And now the liberated Akira is excited and full of joy and happiness. He starts to think about what he would do with his days, and he drinks the juice that Otori gave him and remembered that she was kind to him, and he texts her to see how she's doing. She gives him a location and asks him to come at her place, and not knowing what's waiting for him, he goes to Otori's house only to discover that she's been attacked by a zombie who was once a married man that she was having an affair with. Using some skills from his football playing days, Akira fights and defeats the zombie, but Otori was already bitten and she starts to change in front of him. A heartbroken Akira confesses his feelings for her and escapes before she got the chance to attack him. After what happened to Otori, Akira decides to live the rest of his days on his own terms. He prepares his own bucket list and starts to fulfill each of them, starting from cleaning his own room, free shopping, to painting his picture on a building, and treating himself to an expensive steak. One day, when he was at the shop trying to get the ingredients for his steak, he meets a girl named Shizuka. She was the first person he met in a long time, and she almost killed him, thinking that he was infected. A zombie attacks the shop while they were inside, and Shizuka shows off her impressive acrobatic fighting skills and also some of her street smart skills while fighting the zombie. Impressed by what he saw, he asks her to stick together, but she dismisses him, telling him that she's better left alone, and she then gets on her bike and leaves him all alone there. After all of this, Akira was back in his apartment and organizes his stuff, and suddenly he sees a picture of himself and Kenichiro. He feels bad about how things ended during their last meeting, and he decides to add making up with his best friend to the bucket list and gives Kenichiro a call. Kenichiro was at a place called Sweet Magic, where he went to see prostitutes and got stuck since the outbreak of the zombies. Kenichiro tells Akira about his condition and that he was about to die, but Akira tells him to hold on as he's coming to save his life. Akira, wearing his football gear, goes to the Sweet Magic on a motorbike. He navigates the road full of zombies with speed while Kenichiro was scared, and he thinks about a football match where he failed to throw the ball and they lost the game. Akira finally arrives at the place and he distracts the zombies with a Bluetooth speaker, and using his football skills again, he plows through the crowd of zombies and reaches the doorstep of Kenichiro's room. And after apologizing for what happened, they both escape. After escaping the zombies, Akira and Kenichiro were at an expensive hotel. Kenichiro cooks an amazing meal and they both have a good time together, and while sitting, Kenichiro starts to look at Akira's bucket list and was delighted to see that reconciling with his best friend was written on as an important task. In the middle of their conversation, Akira is reminded of his childhood dream, something that he wanted to do all his life, which is to be a superhero and protect everyone. Although Kenichiro didn't understand much about his friend's plan, he decides to support his friend and tells Akira that he needs a suit. The next morning, on the 6th day since the attack, Akira, excited to be a superhero, hatches a plan to visit the Ibakari Marine Aquarium to get a shark suit that's impenetrable by zombies. Akira and his friend then go to a convenience store at a city square to get some supplies, where they're attacked by zombies from every direction. They were able to escape from the chaos, but they also managed to rescue a pilot, 2 flight attendants, and Akira's previous acquaintance Shizuka. To relieve the tension, the group starts drinking, which ticks off another wish on Tendo's checklist, having drinks with flight attendants. Kenichiro was busy flirting with the flight attendant, while Akira and Shizuka noticed that the pilot, who was previously bitten, is turning into a zombie. The pilot attacks the group and bites both flight attendants, turning them into zombies. And now it was the zombies against Akira, Kenichiro, and Shizuka. Shizuka distracts the zombies with music from the store, and they escape with their lives intact. The trio then manage to secure a camper truck and flee the scene. We next see them on the road and they begin to talk to get to know each other, and the skeptical Shizuka tells them that she's also on the way to the aquarium, believing it to be the safest place to reside. She also goes on to say that she'll go along until the aquarium, but she'll be on her own after that. After hearing this, Akira proposes to take a road trip on the way to the aquarium, and Shizuka was resistant at first, but she decides to go along with the plan after Akira tempts her with some sake, a traditional Japanese drink. And on the road, they engage in a bunch of activities together. Shizuka gradually comes around and expresses her gratitude to her new friend, and without knowing it, she was beginning to grow fond of the two men. Finally, the trio have reached their destination, but their camper truck was derailed by a spike on the road to the aquarium. Their truck then spins out of control and they get into an accident. And when Akira wakes up, he discovers something really horrifying. It's revealed that his former boss, Kosugi, along with his colleagues, had set up a shelter at the aquarium, and the shelter was run the same way that the company was. And Akira felt like he was back in the miserable company once again, the only difference being that this was an aquarium and there's a zombie apocalypse. After the incident, Kosugi shows him around, and Akira is relieved to see his friends and his old neighbor, Mr. and Mrs. Kosuga, who were expecting their first child. Kosugi shows him that he uses zombies to protect the place from raiders, and he uses the people's insecurities about being incapable to protect themselves, and Kosugi exploits them and keeps them under a miserable experience. Now that fate has brought Akira back to him, he exercises his psychological hold on him, and Akira was back in the prison of his own mind, and he obeys every order that Kosugi gives him, and he doesn't stand up for his own opinions. While having dinner, Mr. Kosuga has devised a plan for the trio to escape the place, and Kenichiro fixed the tires on the camper truck and asks Akira to come with them. But Akira, under a deep psychological hold, just decides to refuse. Shizuka finds the bucket list and goes back to remind Akira about chasing his dreams, and Akira, inspired by what Shizuka had told him, breaks out of Kozuki's influence and quits his work at the aquarium. While all of this was happening, the zombies kept for security purposes have broken free and have started to attack the people at the aquarium, and everyone has started running for their lives. A great white shark that was kept in the aquarium has turned into a zombie after devouring a couple of zombies. The still alive zombies inside the shark's gut have pierced the belly of the shark, creating a multi-legged shark which starts chasing the people. Akira and his friend, along with some people, manage to barricade themselves inside a room, leaving Kozuki outside exposed to the shark. Despite everything that happened, Akira chooses to save Kozuki, embracing the superhero inside of him, and he wears the shark suit and goes to fight the shark with Shizuka and Kenichiro alongside him for help. After a prolonged fight, Shizuka devises a plan to use a dual battery cell to supercharge the zombie shark's sensitivity electroreceptors, and Akira executes the plan in a superhero-like action manner and knocks out the shark in a single punch. After knocking out the shark, Kozuki's leadership ability is exposed as he left his co-workers in a time of need, and everyone decided against him being their leader, and as a result, the new survivors take their supplies and leave the shelter. As for Akira, Kenichiro, and Shizuka, they decide to travel together, and Akira tells them to add their own dreams into the bucket list, as the list was far from being full. Kenichiro decides that he wants to be a comedian, and Shizuka, who aspires to be a doctor, wishes to save people's lives, and as for Akira, he takes on his superhero dream as a full-time job, and the movie comes to an end as the trio journey until they accomplish all their dreams and reach 100 on the bucket list. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. Make sure to leave me a like, leave a comment, also subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much, and I promise to see you on my next recap. Bye!